You've probably heard the term polar vortex on the news, but what is it really? The polar vortex is a massive swirling pool of icy air high above the North Pole, about 10 to 30 miles up in the stratosphere. Think of it as a spinning top of frigid air, strongest in winter, acting as a barrier that keeps the Arctic's coldest air locked away. When the vortex is strong, it spins fast and stays put, keeping the worst cold far from cities like London, Berlin, or Chicago. Its winds form a powerful fence, containing the extreme cold over the Arctic. But the polar vortex isn't new. It's always been there, quietly shaping our winters. Scientists have studied it for decades, but we talk about it more now because we know how much it can affect our weather. When you hear about the polar vortex in the news, it usually means something has disturbed it. It's not the vortex itself that moves south, but the cold air it normally traps. When the vortex weakens, that icy air escapes, bringing sudden, severe cold to places unprepared for it. The polar vortex is like a guard at the Arctic's door. When it's strong, the cold stays put. When it's weak, the cold spills out. Sometimes, other weather patterns push and pull at the vortex, making it unstable. When that happens, the gate to the Arctic opens, and our weather can turn frigid fast. This is exactly what began in November 2025. So, the polar vortex is our planet's natural Arctic refrigerator. When it's working, it protects us from the harshest cold. But when it falters, winter can get a lot more interesting and a lot colder. Understanding the polar vortex helps us prepare for the wild swings of winter weather. It's not just a buzzword, it's a key player in the drama of our climate. And in late 2025, that drama was about to unfold in a big way. Sometimes, the polar vortex breaks down, and it's usually triggered by a dramatic event called sudden stratospheric warming, or SSW. SSW is exactly what it sounds like. The stratosphere above the North Pole suddenly heats up, sometimes by as much as 50 degrees Celsius, in just days. This rapid warming is a shock to the vortex, weakening its spinning winds and breaking its shape. The cause: powerful weather systems lower in the atmosphere send waves of energy upward, like ripples from a stone tossed in a pond. These waves push warm air into the stratosphere, slamming into the polar vortex and disrupting it. When the vortex weakens, it can't hold the Arctic air in place. The fence breaks, and frigid air spills south into the mid-latitudes. So, a warming high above leads to freezing temperatures down below, a chain reaction that can bring record cold and snow. SSW events are natural and happen every couple of years, but their timing and strength vary. When they occur, they can shift weather patterns across the entire northern hemisphere. The effects aren't instant. It usually takes a week or two for the changes to reach the ground, but when they do, the result can be severe winter weather, deep freezes, heavy snow, and ice. In November 2025, this exact process set the stage for Europe's deep freeze. The polar vortex's breakdown was underway, and the cold was coming. The world was about to feel the impact. The winter of 2025-2026 began with a rare and powerful event, a major sudden stratospheric warming in mid-November. SSWs this strong almost never happen so early. Usually they strike in January or February. Scientists watch closely, knowing an early SSW could mean a long, brutal winter. The trigger: massive weather systems over Siberia and the Arctic Ocean sent waves of warm air into the stratosphere, peaking around November 22nd. The result: the polar vortex was knocked off balance, losing its tight, circular shape. Winds in the stratosphere even reversed direction, a clear sign of a broken vortex. With the freezer door open, Arctic air began pouring south. Northern Europe was the first target. Only a handful of November SSWs have been recorded since the 1950s, making this event extraordinary. Forecasters warned millions would soon feel the effects as temperatures plunged. The stage was set for an early, punishing winter. The polar vortex's guard was down, and the cold was on the move. As the polar vortex broke down, Arctic air surged into northern Europe starting November 17, 2025. This wasn't just a cold snap, it was a true Arctic outbreak. The UK, Ireland, Scandinavia, and Germany saw temperatures drop 10 to 20 degrees Celsius below normal in days. Cities expecting autumn weather were plunged into deep freeze almost overnight. Scotland and northern England issued snow and ice warnings. Streets turned dangerously slick. The cold was relentless, lingering for over a week, and bringing continuous risks of snow and ice. The displaced vortex locked the cold in place, making this no ordinary chill. The air was dry and biting, straight from the Arctic's core. For millions, the polar vortex's disruption became a harsh, daily reality. Winter had arrived early, and with a vengeance. The deep freeze was just beginning. The sudden cold transformed daily life across northern Europe. In Scotland's highlands, heavy snow made travel treacherous, roads were closed, and only essential journeys were advised. Airports in Oslo and Edinburgh faced delays and cancellations as snow and ice shut down runways. In Germany's Black Forest, roads were impassable. Even Scandinavia, used to snow, was caught off guard by the timing and intensity. Energy demand soared as people cranked up the heat, straining power grids and raising bills. Farmers worried about crops, and gardeners lost plants to the freeze. Social media filled with images of snow-blanketed cities and stories of frozen pipes and stalled cars. The cold was everywhere, from Ireland to the Baltic states. The early winter was a stark reminder of how much we depend on stable weather. The polar vortex's breakdown was no longer just a scientific event, it was a daily challenge. Communities scrambled to adapt as the Arctic cold settled in. Winter's grip was tight, and everyone felt it. Why did the Arctic air bring so much snow? It's all about the clash of air masses. Cold, dry Arctic air met warmer, moist Atlantic air, perfect conditions for heavy snow. The cold air hugged the ground, forcing the moist air to rise, cool, and turn to snow. Powerful low-pressure snowmaker storms formed, dumping snow across northern Europe. Mountainous regions like the Scottish Highlands and Alps saw the heaviest snow, up to 50 centimeters in places. The jet stream, made wavy by the disrupted vortex, steered the cold southward. While northern Europe froze, some southern areas stayed mild, a weather battleground. This unstable pattern is likely to continue as long as the vortex remains weak. Expect more wild swings, deep freezes, brief thaws, and sudden snow. A weak polar vortex means unpredictable, volatile weather for all. The science is clear: instability above means chaos below. The late November cold is just the start. Europe faces a long, challenging winter. With the polar vortex still weak, cold outbreaks are likely to continue. Frigid air will linger over northern Europe, bringing more snow and freezing nights. As December arrives, the core of the cold could shift south, hitting central and southern Europe, and even parts of North Africa. The jet stream's wild swings may bring brief mild spells, but more Arctic blasts are likely later in December and January. The outlook: a colder, snowier winter than average, all triggered by the early vortex breakdown. Governments and energy companies must prepare for high demand and potential disruptions. Emergency services will be on alert for storms and icy roads. For families, it's time to check forecasts, prep homes, and stock up on essentials. The message is clear: Europe should brace for a long, cold winter. The atmosphere has spoken. Now, it's time to get ready. Winter's story is far from over. While Europe shivered, North America watched and waited. The effects of sudden stratospheric warming don't hit everywhere at once. There's often a lag before the cold crosses the Atlantic. The Arctic air that froze Europe in November is likely to reach the US and Canada in early to mid-December. Forecasters predict a cold, snowy start to December for the Midwest and Northeast. The jet stream will dive south, opening the door for Arctic air and raising the odds of a white Christmas. The Great Lakes region faces a high risk of massive lake-effect snow. Cities like Buffalo could see feet of snow in days. This year's weak La Niña pattern adds to the risk, making a severe winter even more likely. Scientists are watching all these factors closely. The message for North America: enjoy autumn's last days. Arctic winter is on the way. Preparation is key as the deep freeze approaches. With a long, cold winter ahead, staying safe is crucial. Dress in layers. Several thin ones keep you warmer than one thick layer. Don't forget hats, gloves, scarves, and waterproof boots to protect against the chill. Stay informed, follow weather forecasts, and heed official warnings. If travel is necessary, make sure your car is winter-ready and pack an emergency kit. Prepare your home, check heating, seal drafts, and stock up on essentials in case of power outages. Never use a gas stove or oven for heat. Carbon monoxide is deadly. Even in a warming world, brutal winters still happen. The polar vortex's breakdown is a reminder of nature's unpredictability. Look out for neighbors, especially the elderly, or those living alone. A little preparation and community spirit go a long way. Stay safe, stay warm, and face winter's challenges together. The deep freeze is coming. Be ready.